Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Youth Matters. Once again with me, your host Sakina Mushtaq Habib. And I hope that all of you had a wonderful Eid last week and all of you had a lovely time spent with your families, inshallah. I pray all of you are keeping in good health. Inshallah, today we'll be talking about a very recent topic, and that is about depression. So we will be categorizing this depression that teenagers basically go through, because I feel that it is a topic that really needs to be talked about, a topic that the youths are very probably familiar with. Perhaps most of the teenagers go through some form of depression, whether they know about it or they don't. So I think that we will be uh, going into this topic today, and we will be looking at what exactly teen depression is actually all about, how it starts, what are some of the things, the factors that trigger depression, as well as the symptoms of depression in young people, and what are the causes, and at the same time, what can be done to avoid depression. It is something very normal, very common right now, and we don't need to feel ashamed about it, because I know that in certain societies it is almost considered as a taboo when someone says that I'm going through depression. And everybody just looks at that person and thinks that what's really going on in their head. Maybe they're dealing with some mental trauma or something psychological. So we shouldn't be taking it in a negative way, because there's no shame in talking about it, even in public. In fact, if you feel that you are going through depression, you should talk about it to your family friends, or to your family first of all, then to your family friends, or someone whom you feel really close to, and whom you can open up to. So let me start off first with a conversation, okay, as a scenario. For example, this is the mom and this is the teenager. So the mom comes into the room and says, Assalamu alaikum, how are you? How was your day? And the teenager is on the phone using TikTok and doesn't really respond very nicely and just says, Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. And then the mother asks, How was your day today at school? And the teenager says, Yeah, everything was fine. And the mom says that I heard that you got hurt today at recess. And the teenager goes like, Yeah, it was just something minor, but I'm fine. Don't worry about it, mom. And the mom again asks, Are you sure? Do you need any help? And the teenager is busy on their phone, listening to the TikTok, and just takes the volume at a higher notch and tries to ignore mom. And the mom again goes like, Did you hear what I asked you? Let me know if you got hurt. Is there something that I can help you with? Why haven't you been replying to me properly? And the teenager gives her a look and says, Mom, you're really giving me a hard time. Can't you see I'm on my phone? And the mom says, I know, but I'm just asking you, how are you feeling right now? And the teenager says, Mom, that's nothing to do with you. I can handle my own business. It was nothing much. It was just something that happened at recess, and it was something very petty. Why are you asking me so many questions? And that's where the argument clash starts between a parent and a teenager. Now, let me tell you something. Nobody is wrong and nobody is right in this picture, because the mom, obviously, out of compassion, is asking the teenager what really happened, and she is just curious to know how she can help the teenager out. At the same time, the teenager is acting moody and is showing a bit of tantrums, because teenagers go through a lot of hormonal changes and a lot of psychological and physical changes that affect the way they even communicate. So that conversation sort of becomes an argument, which of course has no harm in any way intentionally. It's just the way they react to something, so, or someone. So there is nothing wrong in this conversation. It's just that we need to understand that they are going through something, and we need to come down to their level and try to understand and comprehend their inner feelings. And as for the mother as well, the teenager has to understand that my mom is just asking me out of pure compassion and out of pure curiosity, because she loves me and she has feelings for me. And that's the only pure reason why she's asking me what really happened to me. And, she's asking me to open up to her if there's something that I would like to share with her. So I think we can learn a lot from this simple colloquial example that I put forth in front of you, because it's something that happens on a daily basis, you know. Now, some parents have very strict rules in their house, and such sort of conversations are like forbidden. And there are some houses where such sort of conversations take place on a daily basis. And honestly, it doesn't even make any difference to the parents or to the children, because that's just how the lifestyle of the house is. So obviously, I'm not accurately agreeing that teenagers should talk to their parents this way. It's just that there should be a certain limit, a boundary, where a teenager needs to realize that they can't cross this limit beyond further. So it is very normal for young people to feel sad and worried about life events such as exams, fights with family or friends, changing schools, moving houses. So if the feelings of sadness go on for weeks or months, and they affect everyday life, then the young person may have depression. That's point number one. Now let us look at the symptoms of depression in young people. So we have feelings such as being grumpy, or having trouble sleeping, feeling worthless or guilty. Sometimes even your eating timetable can really have a strong effect on you, because you tend to eat more or less. And then you start gaining weight, or you start losing weight, and then you get those comments and whatnot, right? So that just adds on more to it. So life situations can really, really contribute to depression in young people. But sometimes there seems to be no reason even. So we need to encourage young people to come out and talk about how they feel with someone they know, and, trust their parents, their very close friends who are trustworthy, even their teachers, their school counselors, any family member, and such. Now, an important next step for the young person is sometimes in some parts of the countries, which is not bad, is also you can visit a doctor or your therapist. And, you can talk about depression and ways of how you can get it treated. So this is something which is very important that I wanted to mention, that there are many people out there who do have their personal therapists whom they go to visit on a regular basis or even weekly to talk about what's affecting them in their daily life. And it really helps them, to look at things from a different perspective, from a different angle. Sometimes you need that. You need to be placed in such an environment so that you can see yourself from another point of view, and you can see other people from another perspective, and you really get amazed. You just sometimes fall off your chair and wonder, oh wow, I never thought about it from that way. So this is something very important. Now, feeling sad or moody sometimes is a part of life. I mean, come on, tell me, who doesn't feel sad or moody every day or once a day, or in a week or in a month? It's actually surprising if one doesn't feel sad or moody, because this is something very natural. And we can't just always be all happy and chirpy and go to lucky type of person, right? So this is very normal that young people can feel sad and worried. Now, let us look at something very important, and that is that um, sometimes when teenagers fall into this depression, they even think about suicide. It is a common cause of death in young people, and it's because of the root of depression. So that's why we need to get this cured initially in the very beginning. Now, also, when we look at the symptoms of depression in young people, like everyone, young people can have occasional mood swings and they can feel irritable sometimes, and they can also particularly be sensitive to rejection and criticism. This is very true. Sometimes we might not even realize when we tell somebody, oh, you could have worn a brighter color. Why are you wearing black? That really puts them off. Let them be, let them do whatever they want to. It's up to them, really. Sometimes it's just on their mood. The other day, you might find them wearing this really nice flowery dress, and you'd be surprised at what really happened. So it's just a mood change. Now, if these moods have lasted, but for say 2 weeks or more, then you can say that this young person is really going through a phase, and you need to talk to them about it. So, other symptoms that may include depression include feeling tired, feeling lethargic all the time, feeling worthless or guilty most of the time, having thoughts of negativity, having trouble sleeping, and lacking motivation, and feeling everything is just too hard, lacking interest in food, or sometimes eating too much, sometimes just lacking interest in certain activities. For example, even going out on a family gathering. So you might notice that sometimes teenagers just take that back step, that let's go out, let's take a stroll in the park, or let's go to a friend's house, and they'd say, no, we're fine at home, we've got our internet, and we've got our food, and we've got our bed, and that's what matters, I'm really fine. So they just get themselves locked up in the room. So sometimes this can be fine in certain situations if the teenager is probably wanting to relax on a weekend. They're just trying to take some time off because of the school routine and everything. But at times it can also be bad because we don't know what they're watching on the internet and what other activities are going on behind the screen. So we need to just like not be a pressure on them, but at the same time we can just stand back, watch, monitor what they're doing, and try to navigate them. You see, the key is to navigate them to better ways and better routes. There are so many routes, so you need to choose the right route for them that can distract them in such a way that they feel that they're motivated and encouraged, and not that they're being discouraged and dictated. That is something very important. So sometimes there are no obvious symptoms of depression, but parents may notice behavioral changes in young people that suggest depression and should not be ignored. So these include social withdrawal, number one. Number two, if they're not performing very well in their academics. Number three, if they're having this weird sort of tantrums all the time, like majority of the time, and if they are in a bad company with friends at school, and they're trying to do some activities which are not allowed. So we need to really look into these aspects. Now let's talk about suicide and self-harm. Depression is one of the major risk factors for suicide and self-harm. If a young person is self-harming or talking about suicide, it is important that they talk with close and trusted people in their lives, such as family or friends. So help them to be safe and remove dangerous items. So sometimes, some children, some youngsters, not all, but they fall into this bad company and start doing drugs and whatnot. We need to really keep an eye on that, because it can, later on have a very bad effect. So, apart from this, what are the causes of depression in young people? As we know and as we spoke about, depression is a mental illness and it is one of the most common health problems for young people around the world. So many different factors and life circumstances can contribute to anxiety and depression in young people. Now, these can include fights with family or friends, being bullied at school, or experiencing a recent death or abuse or neglect, sometimes even relationship breakups, that can also have an adverse effect on the character and personality of a teenager. As we know that, teenagers are blooming into adulthood. That is what the meaning of teenagers is all about. It's that they are moving into this new phase of becoming adults. And so they are exploring and discovering new things in their life, which they still don't know what is right and what is exactly wrong. They're just going through it. So I can just give you a metaphorical example over here that, when we want to grow a plant, for example, and we put that seed and we give it the right amount of water, the right amount of sunlight, the right amount of environment, and that's how the plant blooms very nicely. Also, the pot that it has been placed in. Everything makes a difference. If you read biology, if you study biology, chemistry, and all of that, so there are certain factors that play into everything. And so similarly, for a child, when a child is a baby and then becomes a toddler and then becomes a teenager, so it is equally similar to this plant. You place the child in a different pot in every age according to the phases that they are transforming into, and you let them be so you can see their progress and their development. And so that is why for teenagers there is a different pot. You need to let them grow into a different human being, into a different individual on their own. So you need to, give them that space sometimes, which is very important because, of course, as a baby, the mother and father, they really cuddle and love the child, and the child loves it too. But that once the child starts walking and once the child starts exploring the environment, now he wants to let be free. And if the parent comes and keeps pressurizing and standing, leaning all the time and monitoring, and then the child really feels frustrated, and that's when things go wrong because then the child the child feels that I'm not feeling very safe and very secured because I think I'm being monitored a lot and I'm not getting that space of mine. And so that's one of the reasons why then children don't share everything also with their parents and hide a lot because of all these factors, as I mentioned. So we need to give them that space at a certain age so that they can have their freedom. And at the same time, you need to be very friendly towards them. So you can't always be their friend, but you have to be friendly towards them because they should feel that you are a guide to them. Yes, of course, you are a parent. And in most of the cases, you can't really always come down to their level exactly, but you can be a guide and you can be friendly towards them so they feel safe and secure that way. So I think I have mentioned most of the points very clearly over here. My last point for the treatment for depression in young people would be to encourage them to talk about how they feel with someone they know and trust. And at the same time, an important step for them is to visit a therapist or a doctor or even a friend, whether they have depression and what can be done to treat it. So we need to support people with depression How can we do that? We can help them by using psychological therapy that focuses on building skills to deal with life stresses and to change the negative thinking patterns, which is very, very common. So, I think these are some of the tips that I wanted to share with you all. And another extra tips, which are like self-help tips basically, for improving mental health, are that one needs to exercise regularly. You need to eat healthy food because the intake that you take in your nutrition also plays a very vital role in your thinking abilities and making your mood stay very positive. Also, you can practice relaxation techniques. So you can probably do yoga, or you can do some painting, or you can just go for a walk in the park, or attend a nice soothing lecture, or just watch something on the TV or on your iPad, something that can relax your mind, and at the same time it is educational, and it has a good impact. Okay. And just simply at the end of the day, try doing something which is enjoyable. So even if you spend time with your siblings, for example, out in this living room, and you're just talking about what happened at school today, and what sort of activity you did, what sort of sports you played, and how it went by. So I think that this is something that I wanted to share with you all. So I hope that all of you have benefited from this talk, and I hope that many youths and teens out there uh, would have loved this conversation of today and would have benefited a lot. And I hope that we can, work out on this topic. Inshallah. Thank you.